I have for you today 3 things to help you protect, prep, and strengthen for your twisted grip. Regardless of what move you're doing in that twisted grip, we quite often think of twisted grip handspring, but there are also a lot of other pull moves that incorporate that twisted grip. Twisted grip, especially in handsprings, have gotten a bad rap because a lot of injuries happen there. It's not so much the twisted grip itself that is the problem, although obviously it can be, but it's more so the fact that a lot of pullers are doing twisted grip things before their body and their brain, neuromuscular connection, is ready for that. So these 3 exercises that I'm going to give you, I would highly recommend you do before you ever try a twisted grip. Okay, add them into all of your warm-ups. They're going to help prevent injuries. And if you're still working towards getting into a twisted grip due to flexibility or strength, these are going to help you get there. And once you do get there, they will help protect your shoulder so that you're able to continue doing twisted grip without injuring your shoulder. Okay, so 3 things. First one, we're going to start with some shoulder flossing. So for this one, I'm using a peanut. Doesn't have to be a double-sided one. A massage ball is great, something that's not too heavy, okay? You can grab a water bottle if it's a light one, maybe a 12, 16 ounce. You could even use your cell phone in your hand if you want to. Something less than 2 pounds, okay? Don't go grab, a 15-pound kettlebell for these yet. That's, down the road maybe. Okay, so for this, I'm going to start with this in my hand, and my arm, my goal is to have it completely vertical. So I'd recommend when you work on these is if you can, place yourself in front of a mirror so you can watch yourself, because sometimes where we think our arm is and where it actually is not the same. Like, for example, as I demo these for you, I can't see myself, which means I might get a little bit off vertical because I can't fully see it. I usually do these in front of a mirror. So my starting position, my legs are wider than a shoulder width apart. I'm holding whatever is in my hand and I'm pushing it to the ceiling. And then really important is as I push it to the ceiling, like I'm reaching for a high shelf, I'm going to close my armpit. Okay, so I'm at my in range of motion here. I can't close my armpit anymore. Then from here, I'm going to put my hand on my leg. Your knees can be soft if you have tight hamstrings on this. I'm going to start to internally rotate my shoulder because my goal is to hit the entire range of motion on my shoulder. I'm going to start to internally rotate, trying to keep that arm completely vertical as I lean down, 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 down. At the very bottom, when you get to that lowest point, see if you can squeeze even more engagement. That really targets that pec minor, which is one of those stabilizer muscles, part of your stabilizer muscles to protect your shoulder and that rotator cuff. I'm going to rotate that, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as much as I can. When I can't go any farther, I'm going to not just stand up, I'm going to push my hand up to the ceiling, going all the way back to where that armpit is closed. Okay, so inhale down as that shoulder rotates in and in. Exhale, pushing up all the way to close. So our goal is to get that full range of motion because quite often injuries happen in range of motion. And if you're familiar with shoulder anatomy, and if you are not, I highly recommend you look up some pictures on that. But the way it works, it's a ball and a socket. When we get into twisted grip, quite often what happens is it rotates that ball to the edge of the socket, which means those rotator cuff muscles are pretty much maxed out, which means that if you do not have the strength to hold them there, that's where they end up getting injured. Okay, so working that range of motion is going to help us be able to protect our shoulders. So for these, 5-ish on each side, okay? But that being said, if your shoulders feel sticky, crunchy, sometimes if, I'm a little sore, I haven't done these in a while, whatever the reason, I have some really grouchy shoulders. I'll start them and they feel really sticky, but as I do more of them, they start to run smoother and smoother. Like I said, think of it as like you're flossing your shoulder, okay? So focus on quality over quantity. I would rather that you do 3 to 5 of these and you're really feeling that full range of motion on your shoulder than for you to do 26, 27, 28. Okay, so focus on getting that full range of motion is what we want here. Okay, so 3 to 5 on each side, quick and easy. Next part is we're going to take it to an active flexibility, also a strengthener for our rotator cuff muscle. You can use a pole or a wall, okay? You're going to put your back up against the pole of the wall all the way and try to close out all the daylight here, okay? Depending on the size of your booty, you might have a little bit down here in that low back, but try to especially focus on this mid and upper back, completely closing that off. Then from there, you're going to reach up to the sky like you're reaching for a high shelf. See my shoulders get off kilter. And then I'm going to pull down, engaging my lats and obliques as I rotate to my twisted grip. Pinky goes back, but here's the important part. As my pinky goes back, I want to try to keep my armpit facing forward as much as possible versus letting it flare out here. Okay. Here it's more protected. Here it's less protected. Okay. So reach up, pull down. This is your starting position. So while holding this, that armpit forward, the pinky back, the back glute to the pull, you're going to add little pulses right here. Okay. Start with maybe 10 or 15 on each side. Really important is not letting that arm flare out, not letting the back start to get into it, but really isolating on the shoulder. Okay. Depending on your shoulder flexibility, once again, these might look different for you than they look for me. Do try to keep that arm straight, even if that means that your arm starts a little bit out to the side. Okay. So with these, same as on the first one, roughly 5 on each side, but focus on quality over quantity. If they feel really difficult to you, maybe start with 3 of them. Or if you're like, okay, 5, not so bad, I'm feeling these, maybe you can get to 10 on them, and that's fantastic. Okay. Last one is now starting to make that neuromuscular connection, because now we've done, okay, we know which muscles are going on. Now we're going to start to multitask just a little bit. Okay. So with this, you can use a pole or a doorway. If you don't have a pole accessible, is I'm going to start with my hand on the pole, or if this was a doorway, I would, here's the door, and I'm putting my hand just on the doorway. I'm going to step through the door, which pulls my arm back into kind of a twisted-ish grip. If you're using the pole, you're going to go to your twisted grip. And then from here, you're going to do little pulses, pulling down and trying to close that armpit, okay? Versus letting my armpit get pulled back, I'm trying to pull it forward, and it's not a big motion, okay? It's very small, but you'll feel when you get these, it's a lot of work, okay? So I'm trying to pull down a little bit through those lats and obliques ever so slightly, but mostly I'm trying to close that armpit to bring it forward. Once again, trying to protect that shoulder and strengthen those rotator cuff muscles. If you're able to get into that position, no problem, and or you have a pole accessible, you can take that and continue it into a full twisted grip, and then add these little pulses here too. Is relax the shoulder, pull to close. Relax the shoulder, pull to close. Relax the shoulder, pull to close. And once again, it's a tiny motion, but your rotator cuff muscles are tiny muscles, okay? Little movements, and it doesn't take much to injure them. It also doesn't take that much range of motion to strengthen them, okay? So these 3 exercises are critical to your shoulder health. I would recommend adding them into the beginning of your warm-ups, whether you're doing twisted grip or not. You don't have to do all of them. You can rotate one of them, or if you're going to be working on twisted grip, definitely do them all. All 3 of them, 5 to 10 on each side. It'll take you 1 minute to 2 minutes on each side, but it will have long-term effects on the health of your shoulders and keeping you training healthy and strong, so you're able to continue to do the things that you love to do. So shoulder health for twisted grip specifically, but these will help with anything, even if you have no plans to do twisted grip. And those of you maybe that have not done twisted grip yet, or you loathe it because it hurts, it's painful, or really hard to get into flexibility wise, this will help that as well. It will help you start to get more range of motion and strength and flexibility in your shoulder. So if you have enjoyed these, I highly recommend, if you want to dive deeper on keeping your body healthy with progressions as you build towards being a stronger puller, check out my EVFit Pullers online training program. More info below and on my website, www.elizabethbfit.com, where I go through progressions to build up to things healthy so that we can have longevity in our training and to help you take the guesswork out of becoming the puller that you've always wanted to be. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Take care of those shoulders.